Good morning. Welcome to Flat Earth Early Bird number 1573. I'm your host, Arwin. And before we start the show, please don't forget to share it on any platform you deem fit. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification so you know when I'm going live, which is normally 1 p.m. Amsterdam time in the weekdays and 2 p.m. Amsterdam time in the weekend. And please also do support me through the PayPal and Patreon. That would be much appreciated. And yeah, I can always use the support, so please keep it coming. Right. Weather today is kind of nice. It's still a bit cloudy, but not so much thick clouds, and there's still sun coming through it, and it's kind of nice and warm. Looks like there's less wind, but I haven't been out yet to really check. Maybe, I don't know, but it seems just kind of nice and warm. Trees are really starting to go full blossom. That's nice. All right. So, hello everyone. It's Monday, the 17th of April, 2023. Let's check the temperature. 13 degrees Celsius. All right. It's gonna get warmer according to this. Right. Hello, Tiger Bear, first in chat. Good to see you. How are you doing? Doing better. Myself. Yeah, yesterday was a pretty active day. A lot of things. Well, for my doing. I talked with my dad again, and that really helped. Because I had some weird, fear issues. It's like fears would just keep seeping back in, even though I would rationally know. And that was like really confusing. It's like, okay, but I know this is not real. Why do I keep dwelling on it? And yeah, I mean, he basically just told me back what I knew, but it was good to hear somebody else say it. Right, anyway. So yeah, I do feel better today. I think it's also because of that. And yeah. I was on Flatzoids yesterday, but he had his own sound like really screwed up. But it was kind of fun being there through Element. Works just fine. So yeah, I could even like take people on my show through Element now. I think shouldn't be super difficult. So if anybody would like to like kind of like Stas Moretz a few weeks ago, anybody wants to come on with me and do a show, be a part of the show, let me know. Unless you're like a really notorious anti-flat earther, and then no thanks. Right? I want to have civil conversations. I don't want to like I don't have flat soil patience for that kind of shit. I just don't. I don't want to do that. But if you want conversations, then yeah, you can contact me and then get on with me on my early bird show. Hey, and if Stas Moretz is out there, dude, you are always welcome back if you still want to. Hope I wasn't too rumpusy last time. But yeah, I mean, I love the shows that I do with Stas Moretz, so as far as I'm concerned, he can be a reoccurring guest if he wants to and has time for that. Haven't seen him in the chat for a while. Some beers last night. Uh-oh. Right. Okay, so yeah, that probably hit pretty hard then this morning, didn't it, Tiger Bear? Oh dear, oh dear. Be careful with that. But I know what you mean. Dude, when I stopped drinking beer, I had like one beer like even after a week, and it made like way too much impact. And then like a month later I tried it again, and still like yeah, it was the backlash was just too much. So like I'm really glad that I'm off beer. I mean, it was enjoyable while I did it, for like most of it, but yeah, I'm done with that. And dude, like even like my gut has just shrunk, like really a lot. I'm kind of amazed by that. I mean, it's never gonna be as super slim as it used to be, but I mean, it's like I am kind of like halfway back to what I used to look like that. So I'm really happy with it that I quit that. Right, so yeah, Tiger Bear, just make sure you take it easy, and well, you'd probably know what to do. If you need any tips, I'll share, but anyway, I'm feeling pretty good. Didn't go to bed super late, but still a bit, but slept pretty well. Didn't have like really painful lung issues or anything. And I still have trouble like sizing up what it is. It's like even what my reading is. Like it's like I've analyzed something using my magnetization, my sensory of pain and all that, and I picked up something that I don't really have a good answer to. Like I don't know what to make of this data that I just collected with my analysis mechanism. Right? And that's a bit of the problem. That's also why I was so worried about it. And my dad really helped to kind of straighten that out and remind me of how much psychosomatics actually has an influence. Like he basically shared with me things that I'm kind of like not too eager to even talk about because it might be considered medical misinformation or something. but it let's just say it is like basically hardcore German New Medicine and in denial of causes of diseases, right? But I mean, love to get into it someday, maybe. If I had a place where I don't think I can just talk about that on YouTube. I'm not sure. Maybe I can, but I just maybe I'll start talking about it when I've kind of rode this one out, like this issue, this temporary issue on my lungs. And it is temporary, and it is definitely conflict based, very logical. I literally even predicted it would happen, but then when it's happening, it's so weird. It's like I predicted it according to this model that this would happen. I literally spoke it out even on my show. Now it's happening, and now that it is happening, it's like the knowing of it with prediction and all is just kind of shoved to the background, and it's like this sort of panic effect internally a bit, and it is like a side effect. Like that's not normal spiritual operation for me. And that effect is kind of like confused me to the point where I basically start to believing the mainstream kind of train of thinking again. Makes me fall back. Fear literally makes me lose my focus like that internally. And that's a problem. Because if you really start to believe, kind of like an effect that is discussed out there for psychosomatics, that if somebody goes to the doctor and they're like, oh, I don't feel well, what is this? And they get basically a doctor that says you have cancer and all that, and then, oh, you're gonna die in this much time, that literally, like, if they wouldn't have been told it like that, then internally they wouldn't have reinforced that conclusion. Basically taking the judgment of a priest because you really believe he knows and has that authority, and then you roll with that and thereby create it. That's a thing, and it is to be figured out within psychosomatic effects. It's because you believe it, you make it. So I have to be careful on what I'm dwelling upon while I'm going through this recovery process, because that's technically, according to German New Medicine, what it is. Once you get an issue like cough, hurt, inflammation, it's the resolve of a conflict. It isn't like the problem has arrived. No, it's the resolve of it. I mean, I shared this on my show. And that's what it is, but you have to really keep that in mind as you go through it. Because I just kind of got scared again, and I did go to the doctor and like waste a giant amount of money, like the last time something like that happened with my jaw and all that. But I still did like panic a bit internally, and that made me reinforce the old ideas, which would potentially lead to that actually happening. Right? It's like psychosomatic vulnerability. It's a bit of an issue when you're just empathic like that. Healthy, your body is rejuvenating. Yes. Exactly, classical homeopath. Thanks for getting it. And welcome. Also, hello, Richard G. and Dr. Utker. Why is my chat not on screen? Because it starts slightly below the screen. So that if somebody pops up a message, right, and it's like a really disgusting message or something that is like strike worthy, then it doesn't just appear visually on screen immediately. So it's like a bit of a buffer for that. So yeah, that has a reason why it doesn't just immediately appear on the screen. Well, Pedro's. It's the Gamma Brigade again. Whatever. Right, so yeah, it helped to have some. Yeah, I needed somebody to tell me, you know, like I was sharing that information and that insight with you guys. I kind of needed somebody to do that with me for a bit. I needed to be told again. And that really helped. Anyway, yeah, I watched back yesterday's part about the looping and all that. It was like pretty deep in the show. And it didn't even, like, it wasn't that extensive. But still, like, good. It was a good part. Started at 121, I think. I linked it up in the comment section. So anybody can just skip right away to that section. And you don't want to go through the first part, which was kind of slow. Great. Why do they start now? I mean, they haven't done anything all morning. And now they start. Whatever. Yeah, they're still working on the balcony, drilling in the wall, and you're probably hearing that. Although probably not as much as I'm hearing it. For me, it's like really loud. But anyway, how are you guys doing this Monday? Let's see. What was I? Besides Flatsoid Show, what else was I doing? Oh yeah, Owen Benjamin. They're going after Joe Rogan again. Let's see. What else? Oh yeah. It seemed. Remember that video? I linked to it on my show at the time. I think some video CGI about this. Well, what would be considered like an advanced FEMA camp situation. It's like super dystopic. I think I shared that a while back. It seems like Alex Jones finally discovered it because he was doing his show. He has his Sunday show about it. He was really he said he just watched it yesterday for the first time and was really like captivated by it because it really had so much rich detail, and the people that made the animation were allegedly involved in literally making camps like that. Is it in China or in Australia or something? I don't know. But that's funny because I've seen that video like a long time ago, and it apparently has like high record level views. So, but it is like kind of fear pornish though. Did I share that video? Do you guys remember? Might be a while back. What's it called again? I think I shared it, right? I think like Michael, was it Michael Kahn or Mr. Cheswick or something posted that video at the time on their channel. And then I linked to that. I think that's what happened. Anyway. Right. I'm feeling good. Spring is here. It's like this little bit warmer and I'm really glad of it. I'm so done with the freezing stuff. Also, oh yeah, was it Quantum of Conscious? Had a pretty interesting video about propaganda concerning, climate propaganda in America, with like a weird dual effect about California, where now there's some floods there or whatever, where before there was all drought, and he basically addresses like the whole. It's like no matter what happens, it's always climate change, right? And he lays that down pretty well. So yeah, that's about what I've seen yesterday. This winter seemed to last forever. Well, no, not really. But I mean, yeah, I mean, in the United States, it's been a rough winter there. Over here, not so much. I mean, yeah, it's been freezing a bit, but it's barely snowed at all. Not, yeah, just a few days and like immediately melt again. So we didn't have a rough winter at all. I mean, it was a good winter, because if it freezes a bit, that is really good. That's good for the soil and all. And it prevents like bugs being too rampant and fungi and all that. So yeah, a bit of freezing is good. So we had a pretty good winter here, actually, and it didn't feel like it lasted forever. It actually went by pretty quickly. It did feel a bit like, yeah, it's really because of the financial calamities out there and people just having problems getting by and all that. That's made it a rough winter, that aspect. But it's not because like the weather was really horrific or anything. Maybe in the United States a bit. But I mean, as far as I remember, United States always had rough weather. Like always. That's not changed. Anyway. Last decade noticed that the winter starts later. Yeah, well, I believe that there is actually, let's just say it like it is, a celestial change, in a way. I think that the way that the celestial energy light output, the sun, I think it's kind of slightly changed. Like the way it manifests. I think that it's so weird, because I have like direct memories from my dark world visions that kind of suggested that I was even personally involved in doing that. No idea if that's real or not. But like the summer or the winter summer cycle is like less of a hard curve and more of like a subtle curve, up and down, back and forth, like that. Oh, I don't know if you could really see all that, but I think that it is like that. Like now it's more diffracted, the way it works. And it was always a little bit like that. I mean, the spring break effect, a little heat moment before the winters really ended, that's always existed. It's just become more pronounced now. And so there is like this, in the Netherlands I've experienced, there's like a pre-summer. It really already starts in spring. The summer really already starts in spring now often. And then it doesn't get like super hot at the center of the summer. And then the summer also lasts longer, so before spring, like even in September, it can be really nice, kind of spring-like weather, end of summer, but it like a lot. That didn't used to happen. Usually, like in the 90s, I remember that as soon as September starts, it's just non-stop rain, fungus starts to break out everywhere. And yeah, that always happened in September. Now, that seems to initiate in October. And the winter is also split up. It's like split up in two. Like there's the December winter, then a bit of a bounce back in January usually, which is really odd. January always used to be like really cold and miserable. Not just because it's no longer Christmas time and all that, but beside that also just the weather used to be really miserable and cold always. And now it's kind of mild. And then usually in February it starts like really freezing and snowing sometimes again. It's funny. It's just more, yeah, how do you describe that? There's like an oscillation, a sub-oscillation. Like instead of the normal oscillation, there's a sub-oscillation. There's like in between back and forth. So that's kind of what seems to be going on now, and I've really tried to figure that out over the last 20 years. Right? But I mean, I don't see how it is directly caused or anything by climate engineering, right? Like the trails or whatever. That's been going on since 95, but I mean, that wouldn't be able to do all that so persistently. Right? Just change basically the solar output in a way. So something else happened, I think. And weirdly enough, have dark world vision memories that basically tell me that I was involved in that, which is just super surreal. But that also, well, that because I went through that, whether it was really me or not, that experience, I kind of like have this suspicion, like that this is my model. And the model came from an idea that I experienced in the dark world vision. Like before I came on to this idea. It was like my ideas in the past about the future. It's so weird. Anyway, yeah, thanks LVA Paul for the link up. You guys are using, yeah, apparently. Rolls-Royce turbofan jet came out last. What? Yeah. So I heard, George Sanford. Yeah. Okay, LVA. Yeah, that's fine. You go do that. I'm having a show right here. Right. Yeah, let's check. PayPal's acting a little bit weird. I don't know what's going on. But it's like, LVA Paul, you sent me like a whole bunch of money. I split that up and then sent it to my bank, but half of it is just not arriving. And I don't understand that. I don't understand why. It's really weird. because I basically did those actions directly next to one another, and one of them, what the hell, dude, why is it not one of them got through and the other one did not. It's still, I'm gonna check now again, but so weird. Oh wait, did it actually go through? Ah, yeah. That's hilarious. I mean, I checked like an hour ago, but now it's finally come through. Yes. Woohoo! Just in time. Anyway, thanks for the support, LVA Paul. And Skeptic yesterday. Hello, Moxie. Yeah, by the way, that was crazy, man. I was on Flatsoid show yesterday. I kind of like didn't even realize that he was gonna go live in there, but he did, and I just hung around and started to be a bit part of it. But I mean, the sound was really bad. But only his mic. It was crazy. Like, his mic was all echoey, but I mean, everybody on the Element and even the video, that was all normal. It's so crazy, that situation. I mean, he really needs a good sound guy to work this out with him, because this is ridiculous. But I mean, me being in there, dude, all those anti-Arwin trolls just all started blabbering non-stop. And they went so far that eventually even, like, yeah, the guys just started banning them because it just wouldn't stop. And Glenn Salch was in there again whining about how I banned him because I didn't explain anything, and just started to ask the same fucking things over again, like a robot. About, you know, the whole gas not having mass. It doesn't matter. Just, like, he was there in the chat. And I explained it, like, every possible angle to the case. And he just talked in the chat Flatso yesterday like he's literally never heard it. And then when I said I explained it to you in detail, and your hand waved dismissing it, he said, yeah, because you didn't actually explain it. Like, what the fuck is wrong with that guy? What's wrong with you? It's crazy. These people are absolutely nuts. They have no control over their own faculties. Really is level.matrix. That's hilarious. Right, anyway, I'm open to talk about whatever you guys like. Could go back to something, or maybe I should just go back to the why doesn't gas have mass. I mean, it's a really tiresome subject, but it's worth to keep doing it over and over again, because it's it's difficult for people that even really try to get it. It was very difficult for me. So difficult that when it finally clicked, that I realized, like, I have to, like, now champion this understanding because it's really freaking complicated and annoying. Because people just, well, like Glenn Salt, right? They just refuse to get it. They just don't listen. It's like they're insulted by the alternative understanding that actually makes sense and discards the notion of gravity force, which isn't even officially claimed. So it is super ridiculous in the first instance. So what do you guys think? Should I talk about all that again, or you kind of done with that for now? Oh, matter had mass. Yeah, but what is mass, Tiger Bear? Matter not have mass. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Mass is a concept, and it's a convoluted concept. Very convoluted, because mass actually, there are three kinds of mass that are completely different, right? There's the colloquial mass. There's the Newtonian concept-based mass, and then there's atomic mass, right? Colloquial mass is just anything that will have disequilibrium pressure, right? But it's not based on like the convention of weight, because there is a difference between the convention of weight and the Newtonian mechanics mass. That's why when there's weight, there's three different types of weight, right? There's the colloquial weight, then there's the conventional weight, and then there's the atomic weight, which is basically exactly the same as atomic mass. It's the chemistry component, right? But when you go with mass, there's colloquial mass, then there's Newtonian mechanics mass, not conventional mass, because conventional mass has nothing to do with weight, with the convention of weight, the metrical system to measure a quantity, right? It doesn't have anything to do with Newtonian mass. It's just measuring the preponderance of disequilibrium pressure. Now, the thing is, you know that it isn't Newtonian when you start to attempt to weigh gas in its expanded state, right? You put a balloon with regular air on a scale, you're only going to register the weight of the rubber balloon, right? And if you do heavier gas in it, or you compress it in a container or whatever, well, if you compress it in a container, it's no longer really in its normal gaseous state, right? But if it's like a heavier gas, yeah, there's going to be some weight, colloquial wise, like the general expression, there's going to be some disequilibrium pressure, but it's not proportional. It's like too little. Why? Because gas in its expanded state doesn't have that mass that go down, go boom boom in Newtonian mechanics. It's actually, that's a mistaken interpretation, because it's all based on relative density. The disequilibrium of the density, the object with the medium. But if it's just gas that's in gas, even though separated, yeah, the ratio goes off. It no longer correlates with the actual weight. Now, how do you prove this? You prove this by taking a gas tank with compressed air, and you compress the air in it to the point that the empty container will be added 1 kilogram of weight of compressed air. Yeah, 1 kilogram of compressed air added in a tanker. You put it on the scale, it registers 1 kilogram more. All right, now you take that content of that gas tank and put it in a big balloon, like a really big one, enough to have it in an expanded state filled up all the way, right? So you fill up the balloon. It would be good to basically calculate ahead of time, like how big it would have to be to contain that kilogram of gas. right? Compressed gas, air. And then you fill that balloon up with that air in its expanded state. Okay? You close that balloon, and then you put it on a scale in the room. You know what happens? You know what happens? Do you? Yeah. You're only gonna register the weight of the balloon. Because gas in its expanded state doesn't have mass. It doesn't go down, go boom boom. It just responds to the density of its surrounding. And if that's very close, it's going to be almost no or completely none pressure because of that. Because it's based on relative density. Weight convention is based on relative density, not on Newtonian mechanics. Because Newtonian mechanics suggests gas don't go down, go boom boom, and it doesn't. It doesn't respond like a liquid. It goes in all directions if it can, and it will then equalize the pressure with the rest of the gas that surrounds it. So if you try to weigh a kilogram of compressed air in a tanker, you will have a kilogram, right? It's probably liquid though in there, but the point is that you can compress air and it has all that mass, right? So you think so. But then if you contain that same gas in its expanded state and then put it on a scale, it won't register that kilogram. That kilogram will be poof, it will be gone, yes. And that is practical reality. Okay? So stop asking me, where does it go? Where does it go? This is proven fact. You can do it yourself. It works like that. Where does it go? Not our problem. Because gas simply just doesn't have mass by the Newtonian mechanics standard. That doesn't exist. If you think like that, you get it wrong. The results will be wrong according to that train of thinking. And where does it go? That's not your problem, because that's not my problem, and it's nobody's problem. It just works like that because mass is not Newtonian. It's not the mass from Newtonian mechanics. Right? You can unleash a formula on a weight, a colloquial weight or a conventional weight, and then figure out a Newtonian mechanic insight on it. But there's no point to that because it doesn't universally apply. Because when you apply Newtonian mechanics to gas in its expanded state, it's broken. The mass is gone. So it just doesn't work. This is probably part of the reason, the original discovery, why they figured out that Newtonian mechanics were bunk and why they discarded it. Because it doesn't universally apply. It doesn't apply to gas in its expanded state. It just doesn't. Provably, measurably. You can test it yourself through the way that I just explained. It's more compressed. That's all very cute. That's a cute idea. But if you take a kilogram of compressed air and expand it inside of a balloon and put it on a weight, there is no weight to the air. Only the balloon will be registered. Because the air, even though it was in its compressed state a kilogram, because it's much denser than its surrounding when it's compressed, right? And then suddenly, you get weight. But in its expanded state, it's not at this equilibrium with its surrounding, so there will be no weight, no colloquial pressure registered from it. You see? And that's why gas doesn't have mass. in between brackets in its expanded state, because yeah, if you compress it, it will register some colloquial weight, right? Up to a kilogram in my example. But in its expanded state, there is no weight. It doesn't have weight. And if it's a gas that's less dense than the average, like helium, it will be anti-weight. Well, that just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And that's why it's definitive. Did you test it yourself? Yeah. It's a while ago though. I haven't done anything recently. But I mean, in school, this was discussed with the teacher and all that. I just didn't really stick. It confused me because it is very confusing, and most people forget and then just fall back to good old stupid Newtonian mechanics because it's more simple. That's just what happens. Right? But hey, if you have air compressors and tankers and big scales, you can test it. I don't have that equipment, right? And I mean, it's not much use to try to compress like a liter of air and then try to weigh that. I mean, that's ridiculous. And I don't have a miniature tanker like that anyway. So, yeah. You gotta have a big balloon for it. And you gotta have a gas compressor. And then you can test this. Or you could go to like a factory or a company that actually does that. Like refills gas tanks and all that. And then you can just check with them. Oh, yeah. Technically, you could just take a balloon that's big enough and then any tanker with registered weight of gas in it, because it's compressed, and probably not even gas anymore, it's liquid or something else, or like a super gas that's just highly compacted and therefore more dense than the average surrounding. Take that, fill the balloon, and then weigh the balloon in its expanded state. And you can do that. Yeah. Don't tell me that I must do it, because I'm poor and I don't really feel like it. I'm just sharing the information. That's what I do. Yeah, that's nice, George Sanford. I know. I already addressed that. I literally addressed it and I adapted to your complaint. Yeah, that's why I'm saying gas in its expanded state. As you said, yeah, certain gases, when you compress them, then they still remain gas for some reason. Okay, well, that's not gas in its expanded state, though. That's the point. That is the point. That is the pointer. Yeah? Because guess what? In the natural world, we deal with gas in its expanded state. Yeah, because gas doesn't typically naturally compress in tankers that don't naturally exist like that. Yeah, I mean, you might have like a gas buildup in a pressure in a cavern or something. But yeah, as soon as you try to measure that, it's immediately going to vacate and then the pressure's gone, right? The point is that gas in its expanded state, which is the natural way it is around us, always, doesn't out of its own volition just compress for no reason and stay compressed. That doesn't do that, yeah? Second law of thermodynamics. So, if you try to weigh gas in its expanded state, you will register none, because it weighs the same as the medium it's being weighed in. And that's the point, because weight isn't Newtonian mechanics pushing things down. It's relative density disequilibrium that causes the force and the displacement, the vertical displacement. That's my point, right? And then even if you have a heavier gas, sulfur hexafluoride or something, yeah, then it will register some colloquial weight. Like if you put it in an aquarium, yeah, it might weigh a little bit more, but guess what? It's not going to be proportional to the atomic weight at all. It's just going to be some disequilibrium because it's slightly denser than the air. But that doesn't give like a regular weight output. It will be just a slightly more weightful, right? There will be some pressure, but it won't be like, oh, well, I put in 1 liter of this and it weighs exactly in accordance to the atomic weight. No, because it's atomic weight, it's all based on compressed stuff, right? And you can compare it. It's like, oh, compress this gas, compress that gas, and then weigh how much 1 liter of the compressed gas weigh in relation to one another, and that's how they figure out, right? They don't take the gas in its expanded state and then weigh it, and then, oh, that's the atomic weight. No, that's not how they came to that number. It's all ratio based. Okay, Moxie. Yeah. He is doing a live show. Nathan is doing a live show today. Lol? What's lol about it? Right, so I hope I cleared that up. If there's any more questions about it, right? The point is, mass and weight are a clusterfuck of different fields and different designations for that word. And they don't really mix. It's a real confusing mess. Always has been, since all the systems have been established. Right? And most people just use the convention-based weight to have like a numerical value. But yeah, within that, you don't weigh gas in its expanded state. Yeah. To buy and sell it, you go per weight or per liter, and guess what? It's going to be compressed. Yeah, you don't buy gas per liter in its expanded state. Yeah, if you, I mean, really, that's kind of silly to do that. It's going to be very little. When you buy gas, it's in a tank and it's going to be compressed. Because otherwise there's just very little of it. And how are you going to weigh that? You won't. So you will barely be able to tell that there even is gas then in a tank if it's just not compressed. Or what kind of gas is in there. Yeah, ridiculous small amount. And it won't weigh anything. It won't weigh a little. It will weigh nothing. Yeah, if you take regular air, you compress it and you put it in an expanded balloon, and then you weigh it in that same location, you will only register weight of the balloon. Because there will be no disequilibrium with the gas in the balloon in its expanded state versus the gas surrounding it. Now, call the amount small or big, doesn't really matter. If you compress it, then you can suddenly have like a linear weight ratio with its volume and yeah, measure it like that. In its expanded state, it doesn't. You don't do that. It doesn't weigh anything in its expanded state. That is the point. That is the point I'm trying to make. Balloon in a vacuum chamber. Yeah, well, guess what? You don't weigh things like that. That's not how weight works. You don't weigh things in vacuum chambers. Yeah? You don't do that. People don't weigh things in vacuum chambers. You mean you can technically do that, just as you can weigh things in water. It's called water weight. They apply it. But it's a different convention then, yeah? Regular weight is in air at ground level. That's weight. That's the anchor point of the convention. If you're going to start to change the medium up in which you weigh it, guess what? The output's going to be different. It's going to be a different output. Huh? So not the same system anymore. It's a different convention now. Now we got vacuum weight or air or water weight. Or dude, just you could do mercury weight. Weigh really large heavy things in mercury or something. I don't know, man. You could make up whatever kind of medium, material based medium, and then weigh something in it and then call it, oh, this is this type of weight, right? But vacuum weight is not the same as regular weight in air at ground level. What if you did? Yeah, you don't. If you did that, yeah, you'll have some disequilibrium, because guess what? The gas in the balloon is going to be more dense than the very, very, very little gas that surrounds it. And then it's going to push down because it's at disequilibrium with its medium. So it's going to push again. Yeah? It doesn't happen, though, in the natural world, because we don't live in a vacuum. And in a regular air environment, if you weigh gas in its expanded state, it will not register. Yeah, that's a dance formula. Yeah, that's fairly cute. Gonna keep repeating it. You can just keep repeating yourself. Gonna do it all over again. It's this and that. Yeah, well, I'm explaining what's going on. You're trying to regurgitate things you learned in school and then just left it like that, obviously. And I'm explaining about some details that are very much overlooked, like by a whole bunch of people when they go through school with this subject in physics class. Yeah? I'm explaining now. So it's really cute. I only said it once. Yeah. Fine. Maybe you just newly arrived, but I've been talking about this subject for over a year. Yeah, gas doesn't have mass. Good, you will not say it again. Just know, gas in its expanded state, you can say, oh, it's derived from this, or you can question, where did the mass go? It's all really nice and cute. I don't care. The point is, this is what happens. Gas doesn't have mass in its expanded state. It doesn't do that. Because weight is based on relative density disequilibrium pressure in a medium of air. And if you take air and you try to weigh it, there will be nothing, yeah? If you would, then if you had a scale, it would have the weight of all the air on it. It doesn't. There's zero weight. Because there is no disequilibrium of the air with the rest of the air around it. So it's not pressing on the scale like that, right? There has to be a disequilibrium with the medium in order for the pressing to start. Right. Anybody else still left in the chat? You guys are really letting these people just roll in there. You brought this up, Tiger Bear. Right? What was it? Yeah. A hard time with the concept of nothingness. What do you mean nothingness? You mean no non-space? Volume requires mass and density. No, volume. Well, look, it depends on whether you're just talking about geometry or whether you're talking about physics, right? Because volume or mass don't actually exist physically. They're derived concepts from density. Density is very much provable and present at all time. Volume is derived, as is mass. Would the balloon in a vacuum chamber show anything? Yeah, there would be some disequilibrium. Because, yeah, if it's gas in a balloon, can't go anywhere outside of the balloon, and outside of the balloon the gas is all gone, then it's going to be a disequilibrium with that medium that surrounds it. So yeah, it will show anything in a vacuum chamber. Your point being that there is some pressure. It's not regular weight though. You're not gonna weigh it like with a regular scale. If you weigh other things in a vacuum chamber, they also weigh more if you're just using a regular scale. Because it's another medium, it's another convention, it's a different form of weighing. You vacuum a chamber, it weighs less? Well, yeah. Of course, George Sanford. Of course it would weigh less. Why do you think that is? It's because if you have something contained that is a vacuum, guess what? It will be at this equilibrium with its surrounding, because that vacuum in there is less dense than the air that surrounds it. So it will detract from the effective registered weight. Right? So of course. It's not Newtonian though. A perfect no. Vacuum and non-space have nothing to do with one another. Vacuum is a evacuated volume. Non-space is non-space. There is no space for matter to exist in there. It's rather like perfectly occupied in relation to material. Does vacuum weigh? No, vacuum doesn't weigh anything. And neither does air in its expanded state. Doesn't work like that. This relative density is the factor, not mass or gravity. Okay. Density is measured. No. No, it isn't. No, mass and volume are derived from density. Yeah? You don't measure the density using mass and volume. You compare the density. Yeah? You compare it with another body, its density. That's how they establish the density. And then, after you know the density of something, the universal density of a material, then you can, well, calculate with the volume and the mass of it. Extract information, derive it from that. But density comes first, because density is the real thing. Volume and mass are only extracted concepts based on density. Density is the physical real thing. Volume is a concept. Mass is a concept. Compare the mass. Now the registered disequilibrium pressure. Yeah, that's right. And then compare. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. You compare the material, the density of it. And then you see what the difference is, the disequilibrium, and through that, if you have the same volume, you can derive a mass. This is really tiresome, guys. I feel like I have to break through like 20 years of conditioning here with people. Seem to be the only one really doing it. I could really use some assistance. It's really fucking tiresome. Why do dense objects go down? Because they're in a medium that's less dense. Yeah, Flounder, we get it. We heard you. Yeah, it's really nice that you keep resorting to your derived concepts, volume and mass, but they don't physically exist though. But why down? Yeah, but why does the sun shine light? Why is it warm? Yeah. Why does energy make things warm? Yeah. Yeah, why does the more dense go down? Yeah. Well, because it does. And less dense things go up. Because they do. Why? Yeah, well, stop whining about it. How about that? I don't know. It's just the way it works. That's the way it works. You can prove it for yourself. But why? Why? Yeah, why are you whining about it? Just know what is. They wouldn't. That's ridiculous reversal. Akumu virus, shut the fuck up. Don't do that. Just piss me off. Volume and mass are derived concepts. They don't exist. We calculate that shit. It doesn't exist. Density is the primary. Yeah? Density of objects and gas and everything was always there. That's the thing you measure. Yeah? You measure density. That's the material thing you're measuring. Yeah? The rest is all derived. Density. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Density is volume and mass as one. That's the point. Volume and mass can't exist without density. Not the other way around, Akumu virus. Centimeters don't exist. Do they physically exist? Do they? Really? centimeters. Yeah, that's called a convention. It's geometry, measuring things. Okay, that's not physical substance. It's not what you start with. You have to first decide upon it through convention. Yeah, lengths, all that, what it is, a system for that. You have to create that in order to do that. It doesn't just pop out, right? It starts with density. Material has density. Then you can compare it. You can compare the density and you can compare the size of it. And through that, could you derive through calculus a mass? Or you could just like ignore the material and just look at how big it is, and then you could go to volumetric matters, measure it. But that's separate. That's something you do based on the density of it. How do you directly measure? You directly measure it by comparing it. Comparing one density, the density of one material to another. Right? So a really universal thing that has been used is water. 1 liter of water weighs exactly 1 kilogram in the normal air condition. Right? That's like an anchoring point. That's where volume, precise volume metrics meet the weight convention. So that is used as an anchor point. That water, 1 liter exactly, 10 by 10 by 10 centimeters, weighs 1 kilogram at ground level. So you compare material to that water. So you can even like water weigh it. Right? You take an aquarium, 1 liter of water, you put a rock in it. Then you see how much it rose up, the water, and thereby figuring out the volume, and then see how much the weight registers more. But yeah, guess what? That doesn't work if you do it with gas in its expanded state. Right? You then have to like compress it. And then it will get a weight because it's no longer in its expanded state, and then you can compare the weights of that. Why did you stop asking these stupid questions? Please. I'm not here to tell you how to fucking do your little thingies in your life, okay? I'm not here to do that. I'm just here to explain the issue. That's it. Not gonna tell you how to do everything, yeah? You fucking do your fucking things. I don't have to tell you how to do anything. I'm merely explaining how it works. What is. Not why and not how you do your things. Yeah? Merely informing you gas in its expanded state doesn't register weight. Why? Because it's not going down, go boom boom, and weighing is a convention based on relative density, this equilibrium force, preponderance of material within a medium of air. So air is gas in its expanded state. If you're gonna take gas in its expanded state of any kind, it's not gonna register a linear type of weight that is reliable. That's why people don't use gas in its expanded state when they weigh things like that. They compress it. And that's a fact. That they do that in industry is a fact. If they do that factually, there's a good reason to do that. Besides, it'd be super clunky if you'd be just trading gas with giant balloons all the time. Right? Yeah, that would be pretty damn clunky. But also, yeah, if that were the case, let's just imagine that gases would be created like early alchemy days, but there was no way to compress it. You didn't have pumps and tankers and all that. Well, then it would just go per volume. It's just like, okay, volume of this gas, volume of that gas. They wouldn't even bother with weight. Right? It's like, oh, okay, I got 10 liters of hydrogen gas or something we made with zinc. Right? Like that. You just go per volume. You're not going to weigh it. Because there's no point. You're not going to put it on a scale and register its weight. You just got the volume then. In its expanded state. See? Because gas doesn't weigh anything in its expanded state. Nobody bothers to put balloons on scales. What? It weighs more even when it's going. What the fuck are you blabbering about? You're just making that shit up now, Akumo Virus. Yeah. You better damn well retract that bullshit. Good idea. No, it doesn't. That's bullshit. That's just a lie, Kumo Virus. It doesn't weigh more with compressed air. It's just a lie. Would have to change the convention to weigh the gas. That's right. It's just another. Come on, dude. Just stay in the background for a while. Come on. Yeah, it's called per kilogram. Yeah, I don't give a shit. They don't weigh it in its expanded state. Right? They call it gas because the product colloquially would be considered gas in its normal form, in its natural state. That's not how they sell it though. They compress it enough for it to, well, liquefy, fill a tank to a certain degree, right? And then weight starts registering because it's compressed. That's how they weigh it. They compress it, and then, weight starts registering. Why? Because, well, when you compress it, it becomes a lot more dense than the air that surrounds the entire tanker, and suddenly, weight will start to initiate. There will be this equilibrium pressure with the surrounding. Suddenly, it attains weight, but it doesn't have that in its expanded state, though. Where does the weight come? You fucking hell! Stop it! I told you not to ask that stupid question! Weight isn't a material property. It's a convention. Things don't have weight. Weight doesn't actually physically exist. It's a convention. Weight is air weight. Weight is relative density disequilibrium, force, preponderance, within air medium at ground level. That is what weight is. It's this equilibrium pressure in air medium. That's weight. That's air weight. That's the weight we use. Yeah? Mass, weight, it doesn't actually exist. It's not a physical thing. It's a convention-based method to derive information. Yeah? Weight is a derived concept, and it can just poof, be gone. There is no more weight. Guess why? Because the material just expanded to a degree that suddenly its density becomes equal to its surrounding. Guess what? No more weight. Yeah, in its compressed state, it had weight. It expanded, no more weight. Gone. There is no weight. Yeah? It's not there anymore because weight is not a material property. It's a convention-based measuring tool. That's what weight is. It's not a material property. A material property would be density. God. So draining this. I mean, this is now like the 8th show I've done about this. And just the same shit keeps happening over and over again. It really frustrates me, guys. Ugh. What is the difference between colloquial and conventional when you're talking about physics? Well, when you're talking about physics, colloquial doesn't actually really apply. Colloquial, weight or mass, which is often equated as the same thing. It's how people go by in talking about it, right? Colloquial. You say, hey, this has some weight. There's some weight to it. That means they feel some force pressing. There's something there, right? So yeah, sulfur hexafluoride in an aquarium will register some colloquial weight. Why? Because in its expanded state, it's still denser than the regular air that surrounds it. So there's going to be some pressing, yeah? But it won't fit the convention of weight. Because there's going to be some pressure, but it's not in linear relation to the typical measuring system we use when we weigh things. So there will be some colloquial weight or mass to it, but conventionally it won't. It will not fit in that system. You won't just use the God, how do you say this? Okay, you take the gas in the aquarium, the sulfur hexafluoride in the aquarium that registers some of colloquial weight, and then you suck it up. You put it back in a tanker and then you compress it again until it becomes so compressed that it is like, well, it would have to be a pretty small tanker, a small gas tank, or a really big aquarium filled with that. Anyhow, you compress it back. Well, guess what? The what weight is going to register in a tanker is not going to be the same as that slight disequilibrium colloquial weight registered of that sulfur hexafluoride in its expanded state when you try to weigh it then. It's not going to be the same, yeah? So it's not the same system. Having some colloquial weight, disequilibrium pressure, doesn't automatically mean that that is exactly the same metric as the convention of weight. It's not the same thing. It's just a little bit of pressure. Some colloquial weight will register, some pressure. It's not in linear relation with the convention-based system. And it's really fucking tiresome to try to explain that over and over and over again, because I know it's like really hard to get it in your head. It's hard to keep explaining it. It's what it is. Doesn't match. There's a break between weight and colloquial weight. All these types of weight, there's differences. They're not the same. I wish Adam Meakin was here. He has a fluid understanding of this. And I would really like to talk to him because he probably knows more, went through chemistry and all that. I didn't get chemistry in school. Like, didn't graduate of it. Did go with physics though. But, like, I would like to know, like, how originally atomic weight was specific, like what the exact physical processes were they used to establish that. I would like to know that meticulous process so I can graft it into my explanation of the difference between atomic weight, conventional weight, and colloquial weight. Oh, fuck off, Akumo virus, shut up! I want to hear you blabber on about this. I'll ban you later. Seriously, shut up. Akumo. Taking a 2-minute break. I'll be right back. Okay. God, George Sanders is never gonna let it go, is he? Very confusing all around. How can it be so confusing? Come on, man. How much more do I need to explain it? I spent an hour on it. Please, just get it. Evacuated air. Yeah, more or less, but now you're talking colloquial. right? Because technically, oh god, it becomes really. Oh my god, this is becoming so tiresome. Right. So let's just say you have a tanker. First, before you build the tanker, the gas tank, you weigh it, as in a piece of metal, before you make it, before it has a chamber within it, right? You just weigh the metal. Then you use that same weighed metal amount to make the tanker. Now you can weigh the tanker based on how much you know it weighs, even if there's gas inside. And then you can compare the weight of it, measured on the scale in air, when it's just open and the gas from the outside can equalize in pressure with the inside, and then evacuate it with a vacuum. I'll bet you that if you weigh a gas tank that has been completely drawn a vacuum within, if it can handle that, that you will have less weight than the metal that it is comprised of, yeah? So you get anti-weight, yeah? Because vacuum, when you weigh a vacuum in gas, it's not a 0 point. It's anti-weight because you're weighing it in the medium of gas. It will register anti-weight, which is obviously not physically logical because it's all convention-based, right? Only vacuum weighed within a vacuum will be a 0 point. Because vacuum within the regular weight scenario of gas pressure will effectively be a anti-weight. Anti-weight is buoyancy. Oh, really? So how do you measure frickin' buoyancy? Oh my god. Ah. What? You're describing a process. You're describing a freaking process of a movement, buoyancy. Yeah, but how do you weigh that then? Anti-weight. It makes no sense. How could anti-weight be part of the metric scale of weighing things? It makes no sense. It steps outside of it. It's no longer the convention-based weight. Buoyancy is not part of the convention-based weight. Yeah? Anti-weight is not taken serious. It's not part of weighing things, the process. Nobody does that. Makes no sense. Right? When it's there, effectively, it would detract from the weight of the tanker if you put if you draw a vacuum within it and put it on the scale, compared to the original clump of material that the tanker was comprised of. Right? So Newtonian mechanics is just, it's nonsense. It's not tied in to the convention of weight. Can't have anti-weight within physics. You understand? Anti-weight within physics makes no sense. You can compare the effect to buoyancy. Oh, moving up because it's less dense. Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Because buoyancy is merely a translation of relative density. It's the Newtonian mechanics compatible system. Right? Density and buoyancy. Oh, but you put a G in there. It's necessary. Yeah, no, it's not necessary. You can literally leave the G out because it is density and buoyancy, but within the relative density convention. That's really going on. There is no gravity. There's no force added to the whole thing. And gas does not go down, go boom boom. It doesn't weigh. in its expanded state. It would have to be more dense, and that only works if you compress it. We're calling it anti-weight. Yeah, within the process of weighing. Yeah? I was talking about utilizing the convention. Yeah? Weighing. The convention. The conventional weight. Yeah? I'm not describing physics. I'm describing conventional weighing. The process. It's not physics. It's a system. It's a process. Relative density disequilibrium in the medium of air at ground level. What happens? It's based on relative density what happens. Because that's the way you can explain things like anti-weight within the convention that you might find. Right? Newtonian mechanics cannot justify all of that. It doesn't work. Right? Because Newtonian mechanics suggests that, well, literally, there cannot be anti-weight, right? Because buoyancy, even within its train of thinking, based on the Newtonian mechanics version, says you don't have anti-weight, you just have zero weight. That's the maximum. Zero weight is the maximum, and then it might be pushed up or something because it's being suppressed, being pushed out of the way by things that are heavier, right? That's the suggestion from within Newtonian mechanics that happens. But it's a suggestion. Doesn't actually happen. What's with it? Oh, yeah, well. It's not my problem, dude. I'm not the one that originally said that, Moxie. It was Ballers that said that. Was it Thunderfoot? Somebody that Nathan reviewed. Like years ago. So this saying kind of stuck. Gas go down, go boom boom. Yeah, and it does sound very childish. It's on purpose. Because it is childish. Gas doesn't go down. Expands in all directions. Till it equalizes the pressure with its surrounding. Right? Meets the available volume. That's what gas does. It doesn't go down like a liquid or a solid. Yeah, Richard G, I'm done with this, man. I'm getting really fucking tired of just doing the same thing over and over again. I don't think this makes a good show. I mean, a lot of people are just gonna tune out because I don't think other people actually would just want to hear me say the same damn thing over and over and over and over and over again for an hour straight with stupid ballers in chat just not getting it. And keep falling back to what they learn. Keep falling back to Newtonian mechanics all the time, always doing that. I'm sick of it. And people are sick of it. People that come and tune in here probably don't come and tune in to see me do that specifically. You're not a baller and you don't get it. Okay, 4-4. Well, in that case, just try some more then. Or just keep listening, but I'm really tired right now of this. So, I think I'm just gonna run out the show. Maybe, yeah, I should figure out the title. Goody. I know with this title it's gonna be like 20 comments of the gammas again. Oh well. At least the title rhymes. Yeah, I don't need your ideas, Evil Nightmare. Right. Anyway, yeah, Nathan's opened up the link already. So I think I'm just gonna join early a bit. But also, I'm probably not gonna be there on the live show most of it because I'm gonna go out for groceries and all that. And I'll probably arrive like after the live show is already over, as I usually do. What's the opposite of the expensive? What do you mean? Why opposite? Why would you think there's an opposite of that? Like in what context? I mean, what's the opposite of a glass? I don't get it. Oh, you mean, yeah, well, in its compressed state. In its compressed state, there is weight. There's registerable weight. Right? Because it's logical. There's a disequilibrium with the surrounding when it's compressed. And then, yeah, that will lead to functional weight that can be registered. That is linear with the rest of weight materials. In its expanded state, it doesn't have any. That's the point. It's cooler, higher up you go. Well, does it though, or is that just something you experience? I mean, you cool off quicker higher up. Why? Because there's less pressure, and so things will evaporate from you more. And evaporation causes you to cool off. So things will cool off higher up. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the air that is there is really colder. It's just that things cool off quicker. I didn't say it wasn't complicated. I mean, I find it a bit puzzling too, sometimes. Like, what is up there? How does that work? Why? How can it gain weight? Oh, how can it? It just does. It does, Fred Sparrow. It does just gain weight by getting compressed. You know why? Because weight isn't really a physical thing. It's not a physics thing. It's a convention-based system that's based on relative density disequilibrium pressure in a medium of air at ground level. That's what weight, the system, the convention is based on. So it's not a physics property. Yeah? You can't, it's not like, oh, all material always has that weight. No, it doesn't. Because weighing is based on a convention, on a system. Yeah? It's not relevant. How can it get weight? How can it get weight? Because weight is not inherent. It's not automatic. Weight is not something some material always has in every condition. It doesn't. Weight is based on relative density disequilibrium. And that's not always present. Yeah? The weight is in our minds. It's just like you take a person, you put them in water, in the ocean. Oh, they effectively weigh less. Yeah, but you're still going to compare it to what they weighed on the scale at ground level in air. You're always going to compare it to that, right? Because that is it. It's that specific convention. Even though the effective experienced weight, the disequilibrium pressure, is very different when the medium is different. So weight is not a absolute thing like that. It's not a material inherent thing. Material in one location has a different weight as in another location because of the surrounding. Yeah? That's the real effective weight. The pressure. It's because of the medium it is in. The medium it is in changes the weight, the actual weight, the experienced weight. We just always resort back to, yes, but what did it weigh in a medium of air at ground level? That is the fallback position that we use to compare it all. That is the anchor point of the convention. Yeah? But the real effective weight, it changes depending on the medium. Throw something in water, it weighs different as when you just put it on the ground in air. Right? But we always resort back to comparing it to air weight at ground level. We always do that. That's what we say, no, that's the real weight. That's what we base and compare it on, right? But the effective weight's just different all the time. Right? The effective weight also be the colloquial weight, the experienced weight, the just a bit of pressure. But the convention of weight is really the pressure in a medium of air at ground level. It's very specific. And that one is not stable. Because things aren't always in air at ground level. They're not. Right, anyway, I am rounding out. I'm done with this. Thanks everyone for coming. I hope you liked this show, or not. Maybe it just gave you a headache, me saying the same things over and over again. I'm sorry. But I mean, this is just one of those things that it's important to understand and it might take a while. Right? So anyway, if you liked it, then please don't forget to Rogan's it up. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification so you know when I'm going live, which is normally 1 p.m. Amsterdam time in the weekend, weekdays, and 2 p.m. Amsterdam time in the weekend. Please also do support me through the PayPal and the Patreon. That would be much appreciated. And you can always use the support. Please keep it coming. That would be great, guys. Right. I'll be back tomorrow with Flat Earth Early Bird number 1574 on a Tuesday, and I'm going to join the Flat Earth debates over at Nathan Oakley 9080, which should be going live in a few minutes from now. Finally again. Hope to see you all there, and until the next video, keep it flat.
Thank you.